Uh, my topic that I wish to talk on is publication misconduct, right? Definition, concept, problems that lead to unethical behavior and vice versa. So, in all, what we are going to discuss is publication misconduct. Once you get registered for PhD, even before that, I think you might have come across this word a lot, publication. In fact, it is said that 21st century is the century of publish or perish, यानी कि पब्लिश करो वरना खत्म हो जाओ. The simple reason, publication gives the idea how much qualitative research that one has carried out. क्योंकि आपने अच्छा रिसर्च किया है, लेकिन अगर लोगों को पता नहीं चले कि क्या है, आप सपोज if you are from science, because research word comes from science faculty, in a way it is very scientific, right? So here there may be some I think aspiring research scholars, I should say, because this is pre registration coursework. So it means that, right, when you want to do research, even in humanities, suppose, or in social sciences, at that time one needs to be very scientific, because research itself is very scientific. And that's why perhaps I think sometimes it happens that the research work that is done in humanities or social sciences, right, are usually not considered that valuable as it is done in science and technology. The simple reason that we fail to understand that it should be very scientific right from the beginning. So publication is also very scientific. Whether you publish a book or a research paper or an article, these three things are very different. Sometimes I think there is confusion between an article or a research paper. In academia, right, in academics, research papers, right, play a very vital role. In science field or technology also, research papers play very vital role. During COVID only, you might have come across some right research, and later on, some scientists have published those research papers, right? The outcome of their research work that they did in the labs. So publication is very important. But as I told you that we live in this age of competition, and especially now when we want to show to the world that, okay, I have done this much work, right? Because we use, suppose, social media to, I would use the word boast, right, about our own success, right, or achievements sometimes, right? So in that sense, publication is also an achievement. But in doing so, sometimes we do not use, right, or the researcher does not use the right path. You know that there is always, right, in this world, good and bad. Good has always remained good in that sense. That, suppose, in the times of the Ramayana, right, or Ram, what was good? Why do we, suppose, worship Ram? Because he was good and Ravan represented bad. Right? So at that time also the idea of good and bad existed. And at present also the idea of good and bad exists. But sometimes in competition, right, usually the researchers, the research scholars, right, they forget to follow the ethical path. And there comes this misconduct. So we are going to discuss the definition. What is the concept? There are some types that we are going to discuss. And what happens, right, if you commit some publication misconduct. Of course, UGC has now in a way given us a long document that suggests us the punishments also. I've got 2 lectures today and tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to discuss those, you can say, regulations laid down by UGC, University Grant Commission, right, under the umbrella of which all the university across India work. So first of all, why is honesty necessary, important in research? First of all, if you are honest as a researcher, if you do not commit misconduct, dishonesty in your research, then it will bring trust of people, trust of the society. That, okay, this researcher always employs, right, good, ethical, honest ways for research. It will create fairness also. Suppose there is a department, there is a university, within the university or a department, there is fairness. And that's why UGC has also given a lot of responsibility, right, to the university also. In creating this fairness, right, you employ honesty, then of course this transparent, fair environment is created. Then respect. You earn respect, right? Respect, possibly you cannot ask for. You have to earn it. You can earn it only when you are honest in your ways of research. This is not only applicable in research, right? I think this is applicable in our routine lives also. Then honesty brings responsibility also. Right? Once you try to follow the honest ways, then it will always happen that you become responsible towards society, you become responsible towards people, right? You become responsible towards academia. Suppose if you are doing a research in academics. And of course, because you are honest, because you do not use unethical ways, you will become courageous. Courage comes automatically, simply because you are honest. You don't have to hide anything, because right from the beginning, you are very honest. Why is it necessary? I have taken some, you can say, data from some research. Suppose India Today special issue on higher education, February 2019. It says that between 40 and 90% of all college students have admitted cheating. They have copied in examination. They have admitted this thing. Between 40 to 70% of the college students. Right? In their survey, right, this is shocking. On one hand, we say that no, right, I think copy has decreased. University, suppose teachers, if you ask, they will say no, no. In fact, now we have created transparent systems. But this is the reality. So sometimes, right, I think the system may not look at your dishonesty because they do not come to know about it. But then also, they later on admitted that 40 to 70% of the students copy. It means they use some misconduct, right, dishonesty when they study. Then researchers, this is again from Times of India, indiatimes.com, right, is the website. there they talked about plagiarism, uh, how, right, researchers copy from some sources directly. Then they have identified this thing, that they asked some of the researchers, and researchers have responded like this, that why do they conduct something which is dishonest, which can be considered that dishonest behavior. First of all, competition and pressure. There is a lot of competition. Today, suppose out of all of you, it may happen because, see, first of all, PhD is a very special degree. It requires understanding of research skills. And therefore, if you don't, and you can understand this thing, that if you don't have the research skills, then you can develop also. And that's why this kind of, right, you can say registration kind of workshop is also organized. The simple reason that you can develop your skills as a researcher. Because if you don't develop them, then what will happen? You will perhaps, if you are lucky enough, then you may get registered also for the degree of PhD. Now, once you get registered, then what will happen? You will feel competition. Why? Because you will, first of all, if you are not employed at present, you want job. So you want your degree in your hand, right, as soon as possible. So 3 to 5 years, right, you will feel that competition. The simple reason that others are doing it, others are supposed submitting it, and you are not able to do it because you don't possess research skills. So in absence of that, you will feel that pressure, you will feel that competition, that I'm not able to do my work on my own. Sometimes this is not only regarding research, but these are some of the responses of the students, researchers only, that sometimes faculties are not, right? I mean, they don't take care of these kind of dishonest means. Suppose I am also supervisor. Now, as I refer to the guidelines of UGC, which came in 2018. Now, it says that along with the research scholar, the supervisor also will be punished. Right? It means now I'll have to be very strict as far as the quality of my research scholar's work, right, is concerned. The simple reason that if I allow that, then I also may be punished. Right? There have been such examples. Tomorrow we shall discuss them at length, and you will see that it is not so that this is just a kind of idea which never happens. It has really happened with so many teachers, vice chancellors, directors, right? And they had to lose their jobs also. So sometimes even, because ultimately it always happens at the department, at the university, teachers create a kind of research environment. So sometimes they don't take enough of care and they allow this kind of dishonesty. So that may also, lax attitude, it is similar. Then peer pressure. Suppose today only all of you are now, going through this workshop, right? And once you get through the process of registration, all of you at the same time, along with your friend, suppose is there, would get registered for the degree of PhD. On the same day, it may happen if you belong to the same subject, and the RDC may take place on the same day. Then sometimes it may also happen that suppose you possess good research skills, but your friend is very slow, he or she is not able to perform that well in research. So there is this peer pressure also that you help, and therefore you write the thesis on behalf of your friend. And sometimes overall campus culture also matters, right? Because, and that's why you see this, right, that the research work done in IITs or IIMs, right, that research is considered qualitative because they do not allow this dishonesty to enter into the system, the teachers as well as the research scholars. So first of all, keep this thing in mind that not only faculties, teachers, supervisors, or even vice chancellor or registrar, but research scholars also contribute to the development of the campus culture for research. They are also responsible, right, to create that environment where dishonesty is not used or employed, but honesty, transparency is always used. So what is academic integrity? Because UGC has used this word, academic integrity. It is honesty to oneself and others. When you talk more about research, then of course it is honesty to others more. The simple reason because you research on a particular topic in particular field, but ultimately that research is going to be useful to people in the society. So you are equally responsible towards others as well. Trust and open communication between students and faculty. This is very important because in creation of that transparent, honest environment, there should be very open communication done between students and faculties. And fair treatment and mutual respect between faculty and students. Usually, that the word you should always, I always say to the research scholars that you should always be very careful that they are no more your teachers, they are supervisors, right, under whom you are working for your PhD. It means supervising means simply taking care, facilitate, whether you get the facility of your research work or not at the department or individually, the teacher, the supervisor may help you out. The supervisor will supervise your research work, means will go through each and every word that you write in your thesis. But don't expect that he or she will dictate you as your teacher in classroom used to dictate the notes for a particular topic. PhD is altogether a very different game. Right? So if you have that concept in your mind that right from the selection of the topic, the teacher, the supervisor will help you in finishing your thesis, it's a myth. Or if that happens, it means the supervisor is not honest. Right? Because researcher will be shown, guided, will be supervised by the supervisor or the guide. But it is something that ultimately the findings, the outcome, that has to be explored by the research scholar only. The personal responsibility to assist in preventing cheating. Right? So you need to be very, just you might have, or I'll pass on that video to, or tomorrow suppose we may watch it as well if it is available to us. But recently only there has been, you can say, a report in an independent, you can say, newspaper, right, website. And the reporter is an investigative reporter. and has talked about the misconduct in research work for PhD that is done in Delhi University. There are some shops, Xerox, and right, you can say printing facilities available. There are many shops nearby some shopping centers in DU, Delhi University. Now they are selling the thesis, right, and from across India and right, even from other nations as well. And this investigative journalist has taken right a kind of you can say interviews also, and some of the people, right, it is very shocking, right? A shopkeeper admits that we have got a team of some teachers who are helping us in writing the thesis. And you ask for a particular topic and you will be provided. Of course, you have to pay in lakhs. But this is a scenario that has, you can say, come up simply because right, that we are not able to curb the dishonest misconduct right, in publication. Because once the thesis is published, it is out in the public domain. Anybody can copy it. So these people who are working for those shopkeepers, they do the same. So it is your personal responsibility as a research scholar to assist the department or the university in preventing cheating. You cannot say that no, I'm an individual and I cannot contribute anything to the system. No, you can. As a research scholar, if you are honest in your ways of research, then definitely you can think. See, in almost all of my slides, because tomorrow we are going to talk about plagiarism, but you will always see that under my important points, right, I have cited something. This is very important in research work, right, that from where I have taken this thing. Suppose this is taken from the Fundamental Values of Academic Integrity, that is the document on Clement University International Center for Academic Integrity website, right, which got published in October 1999. This is very important that you cite, you quote the source. If I say, no, these are all points, right, that came in my mind, I thought about it. No, that is not needed. Here comes the role, right, of the fair means in doing research. Then ethics, because UGC has used the word ethical behavior. So one can observe the ethical behavior through these habits. First of all, sincerity, honesty, of course, truthfulness, respect for self and others, respect for time. Right? Many a times it happens, why do people take help of plagiarism, copy paste it? Simply because they don't have enough time. Right? Deadline comes, suppose for 5 years you will be given, right, a time period that, okay, you can complete your research work, your thesis in natural course, right, 5 years. Then you have to again request for the extension if you do not complete it on time. But 5 years. Suppose I have seen so many research scholars that they don't do anything for 3 or 4 years. Now UGC has, or rather in this world, the idea of PhD usually, right, encompasses 3 to 5 years simply because the system knows that if you do a qualitative research using honest means, then of course you will require a lot of time, 3 to 5 years at least. And that's why university right, will not allow you to submit your thesis before 3 years from the date of your registration. Why? Because university thinks, UGC thinks that no, 3 years at least are required. So what I have seen, many research scholars, that they get registered, they don't do anything for 4 years. In just 1 year, there's a lot of pressure that I want to complete it. Now I want degree of PhD, I want job. So they do the work in 1 year, which they were supposed to do in 5 years or in 3 years. Then what happens? It means you never respected for time. And when you don't respect for time, it means you will be under pressure. And then what will you do? You will copy and paste. Every day, this is important as a research scholar, that every day you work a little bit towards your research. In beginning, some background reading, then later on, whatever topic that you are supposed to work on. These are very important things. Right? In Gujarati, suppose we say that tipe tipe sarovar bharaye. Like that. You cannot work because this is Herculean task. Yeah, this is something that requires rigorous work, everyday work. So these are the things, right? Respect for our environment as well. Why ethics in research? Of course, unethical studies have made us to think about ethical codes and regulations. That's why UGC, because for some years in between, in absence of some regulations for unethical research works, then it happened that there was gross work. Unethical research works used to be carried out. No quality, and just it was on a large scale in a way. That's such substandard research works going on. The best example, and the worst I can say example, is Nazi medical experiments in Germany. Right? Just if you Google, you would realize that during Second World War, led by Hitler, Nazis carried out such medical experiments which can never be considered ethical in the medical field. Right? Because in medical field, you carry out those kind of research activities, research works, which can be beneficial to the mankind. The very essence of medical field, why it has developed as a field, simply because man wants to help man. That's so. Suppose COVID hit the world, then all scientists, right, doctors, they started experimenting. And they came up with the solution. Say that I don't believe in this, and therefore I chose this. Now this is your personal belief. So there is a great difference between ethics, morality, and personal belief. I think sometimes we are confused between that. What one person considers to be good or right may be considered bad or wrong by other person. This is the difficulty. And that's why we are not able to really pinpoint that this is moral and this is immoral. This is honest and this is dishonest. There is very thin line between that. Right? And therefore, in research work, of course, one needs to be very careful. Now, I come to, in a way now, to publication. Publication is a process that is done during your research work and after your completion of your research work as well as outcome. Because once you can get the degree, suppose once you submit your thesis, your viva is also conducted, you get the degree. But then what is the use of your research work? In between, of course, as UGC has prescribed and university has also got, right, you can say, individual policies regarding publication, that 2 or 3 or 1 research paper along with your supervisor is compulsory to get published. So publication plays very vital role, because people can know what you are doing in this field, what is your research, through publication only. That is your, in a way, mirror that you can show, right? So in a way, what is publication? A publication is defined as anything that has been published, make that content available to the general public, right? So you publish not only to get credit on your own, that I wrote this research paper, I wrote this book, but it is for general public also, that people can understand, okay, this kind of work, research work, can also be carried out. And that's why, right, perhaps I think some of earlier lectures might have talked about a review of research papers. Review of research papers or literature review, right, is something that is very important. So you publish your research paper today, new researcher, aspiring researcher will read it and will come to know, okay, this much work has been done in this field, right? So research paper, an article, right, these are the things. Research paper describes the output of research, right? It shows that what kind of work that you have done. If your publication is poor, it means you have poor quality of research work. You don't have much to say to the world. I remember distinctly Abdul Kalam once during his interview talked about the research work that is done in science. He said that why I am very popular, even being a scientist, because I like to talk to people. And you know that, right? He used to talk to the students every day. He used to talk to people every day. Simply because he said that otherwise what happens, that scientists usually work in labs. They don't come out and talk and have a dialogue with people. So common people, public, they do not understand what is happening in science field. But Abdul Kalam didn't do that. That's why he was popular. So this is one of the ways. Publication is one of the ways to show what kind of work that you are doing. It accelerates for your further research activities, right? So ultimately, it is very important that once you, suppose, submit your research paper, which is good one, qualitative one, is accepted by a good journal, you are motivated that, okay, if this journal accepts my research paper, and it means that I'm doing something good, then it will motivate you, inspire you to work further. So in between, suppose, that's why University Grant Commission, UGC, has recommended this, that during research work, the research scholar has to publish research papers, so that the researcher can come to know about the quality of the research work. Why is publication needed? What is its importance? Writing is the most important means for communicating scientific work. Right? So ultimately, you can say that writing is the only thing. In science, suppose, even if you do the greatest of things, but if you don't write those things down and get them published, people will not come to know about it. So even in the field of science, it is very important. Research and publication complement teaching and training, clinical care, and public health. Right? So science, of course, then clinical care or public health. Suppose one doctor writes something today that how can you cure a COVID patient by just not taking or admitting him at the hospital, but making him to be at home only. So home care, that during COVID second wave, became a very popular word. So the simple reason that it came out through some research papers. But at the same time, suppose in academics, if you want to be a teacher, then how can your research work, publication, be that important? That it gives an edge. It complements to your teaching and training as a teacher. That you know much more than what is prescribed in the syllabus. You are doing something much more than what you are supposed to do in the classroom. So as a teacher, if you are a good researcher, because this is a very, I can say that if you want to be a teacher, always be a good researcher. There is always an edge that if you are a good researcher. अगर आप एक अच्छे रिसर्चर हैं तो आप एक अच्छे शिक्षक भी हो सकेंगे. It's not necessary. I've seen the exceptions, but because it gives you the raw material, right? It gives you the raw material to talk in the class. Otherwise, what happens that you talk only the things which are prescribed in the syllabus. So it gives edge, right? Or it complements to your teaching and training also. Publication in peer-reviewed journals, right? Also gives, right, in a way, international recognition for an individual. Suppose if I publish my research paper, people will come to know that, okay, Dr. Dushan Nimawat has got this paper published. Of course, once I publish my paper, it means my department where I work, the department also can take pride in my achievement that, okay, our faculty has got this paper published. Suppose if it got published in Scopus listed journal, which is, right, in a way, Scopus listed journal or Web of Science, WS, right, OS, it means Web of Science journals, right? They are highly reputed journals and very difficult to get your papers published in them, especially when you belong to a field of non-science, or you can say humanities and social sciences. You ask, right, the teachers, there will be very few teachers who have got their papers published in these kind of journals. Then of course once it helps to the department, it helps to the university also, and of course the institutions at large. It enhances your research findings and work, right? So whatever work you are carrying out, your research work, right, will have substantial findings, outcomes, and the work will be qualitative. What is misconduct? In law, misconduct is wrongful, improper, or unlawful conduct motivated by premeditated or intentional purpose to the consequences of one's acts. Right? In law, right? You know that there is something that is defined, misconduct. It is wrongful, it is completely wrong. It is improper, one should not do that. It is unlawful also, unlawful behavior. It is motivated by sometimes intentionally also, sometimes intentionally, right? Because it may happen, and that's why plagiarism, it may be unintentional also. You don't know the source and still you write. You forgot the source and still you wrote it. Then you don't bother to go back and try to find out the original source. Just because in flow you wrote it, but without citing the source. So it may be unintentional. It is not that you want to cheat, but it is definitely misconduct. It may not come under the purview of law. Nobody can suit you. Nobody can take you to the court for that purpose. But it is unethical. That there are things that we do which are unethical and still may be legal in a way. So nobody can challenge it legally, but still it is misconduct. Misconduct can be considered an unacceptable or improper behavior, especially for a professional person. So misconduct ultimately that is considered unacceptable. It should not happen. That's why in research, plagiarism, big no-no. You should not. Right? Nobody would say that no, you copy. Everybody would say. And that's why now we have, of course, scientific ways to find out the plagiarism also. Right? The simple reason that you can copy. But ultimately, once you copy, it comes under this term that is misconduct in your research work. Then publication misconduct. These are all definitions. Of course, I'm going to share the PPT with the organizers, right? So they will share with you. These are all terms and you should always remember them. Publication misconduct. So it includes, these are all types you can say. It is one that I told, copy and paste, that is plagiarism. There is fabrication, there is falsification, inappropriate authorship, and duplicate submission, multiple submissions. So we are going towards this all types. Why does this happen? Force, sometimes, right, as I told you, force, the simple reason that the environment is such, the pressure is such, no time, deadline is coming, you are supposed to submit your thesis, but you forget that you should employ ethical ways of research work. But what you will do, you will copy and paste, you will fabricate, you will falsificate, right? So in that sense, ultimately, deadlines, right? The lack of interest. Sometimes you get registered, but you are not interested in research skills, right? You are not interested in research work at all. That's why sometimes I always say that if you are interested in research work, then only get registered for PhD. Because it is very important that you should possess, or if you don't possess, then develop your research skills. But it should not happen that simply to get job. Right? UGC made it mandatory that one should have PhD degree. Doesn't mean that you employ. And see, this is very important to understand this also, because all of you have completed your masters. Some of you might have completed MPhil as well. Now, it means that till that time, excluding MPhil, suppose post-graduation, whatever degree you have. But then, during post-graduation, till that time, till PG, the way of studying was very different. And research work is very different. Research work is something that is very different than passing simply examination by cramming down the answers. Research work is not done like that. That's why to identify what are the skills required is very important. So, forced to publish more, it means, right, you may take help of plagiarism, fabrication, falsification. These are all types or forms of publication misconduct, which I have already discussed. Let us discuss first thing, plagiarism, an act of presenting another person's work or idea as your own. It means somebody has thought, somebody has written somewhere earlier, but now you are saying that this is my idea. I borrow the idea from someone's writing, someone's work, and I write it as if it is my own. Right? It means I don't give credit to that person. That is plagiarism. So sometimes the whole work or some ideas, even if you take a single line, even if you take a single term, a term maybe suppose of a word, then also you have to cite that person. You have to say that this so and so person has said this. This is your job as a researcher. But this is one of the ways in publication, right? People commit mistake. Then what is fabrication? Fabrication is the practice of making up data or results without having performed relevant research. Suppose your research work is based on survey. You have collected some data from the respondents. That data you make up. And I've seen such research scholars, they prepare questionnaire and everything, but they don't go in the field. They ask their friends to fill up. They ask their relatives to fill up. And from that data, they come to a certain conclusion. Now you can understand it will be a very subjective research work. Research work should always be objective. Because if you make up data which actually doesn't reflect the reality. Suppose if you are a student of management and you are working on customer service, then what you should do, you should go to real customers, and ask them the questions. Then you can get the idea what customers feel. If there is a research work in the field of teaching and you are supposed to ask some students or some teachers about some method of teaching, it may be in some languages or it may be some as a topic in education. Then actually you should ask the questions to the teachers. Then you will come to know the reality. You cannot ask your friends to fill up the questionnaire. Right? So that is called fabrication, that you are fabricating the data. Right? You are, without going in the market, without going to the respondent, actual respondent, you are fabricating the data. Then falsification. Falsification is the practice of changing data or results intentionally such that misleading conclusion is derived. Suppose the same field in which you are working, there is old thesis that you could get from library. Now what do? You change some data and some results. And intentionally you try to find out or you try to prove which can mislead the conclusion. And it may be opposite to that research work. But actually you never went in the field. You never really worked on the data. You took some data, you falsified it. Right? Which is not a good way to conduct research. Inappropriate authorship. Authorship is not appropriately assigned based on the author's contributions. Now here there will be, once you get registered, UGC has said that along with your supervisor, one research paper, two research papers, according to the policy of the university, right? UGC has said, of course, 2 research papers should be published. Now, does it mean that the research paper that you publish with your supervisor, whose name should be first, right? These kind of sometimes debates come up. Then usually it happens, suppose if the research scholar has contributed more and Supervisor has simply supervised that first name should always be of the research scholar who has written it, and of course the supervisor, the second name. So sometimes this happens. Suppose there is a college, a faculty is writing a research paper. The professor, the principal of the college would say that you put my name in the research paper. Now, entirely the research paper has been written by that faculty. The principal is asking to put the name. Now, where should that name come up? Right? Because contribution can be considered through that sequence of the names, that first contributor, second contributor, third contributor. That's why there are these terms, honorary authorship. Honorary authorship means the person has not written it, still you are putting the name of the person. Courtesy authorship. I think research paper, when you publish in PhD, during PhD, right, is courtesy authorship. Because it is courtesy that, okay, fine, research scholar should be courteous towards the supervisor. Then guest authorship. Suppose I invite some papers, right? Somebody contributes paper to my book, which I am editing. Now I put at the last moment, right? The whole, in a way, I'm editing it only, but still I will write my name on it. That is guest authorship. And ghost authorship. Ghost authorship, you will find lot of examples on internet. Same research paper, but two different names. Then you will be confused who actually has written this. Because with digital technology in research work, right, there are problems also emerging. It is very easy. I can also edit using some online software the whole journal, whole research paper. Then who? And some of the countries like Nigeria, right? I read a research paper that talked about the malpractices or misconduct in publication done in Nigeria. They are misusing technology. And you will find that some fine day it may happen that your own research paper is somewhere on internet which you published, but the name is different. Somebody from Nigeria has written his or her name and your name disappears. This is ghost authorship. Right? So this kind of inappropriate authorship is also. Then duplicate submission, multiple submissions. Duplicate submission, multiple submissions refers, right, to practice of submitting the same manuscript or several manuscripts with minor differences. So in that sense, suppose today I am submitting my research paper in one journal. Tomorrow I am submitting the same in different journal with some minor correction. Or I have already got one research paper published. Now I am changing a little bit of it with a different title. I am publishing into another journal. So that is duplicate submission or multiple submission. Multiple means in more than one journals, right? You contribute the same research paper or sometimes duplicate also. Then duplicate submission, multiple submissions, right? These are the things which I have already discussed. So I don't. Then overlapping publication. Overlapping publication refers to the practice of publishing a paper that overlaps substantially with one already published or submitted. You already submitted the research paper, but you are taking what in between the time, right? Suppose if you contribute your research paper to a good journal, it may take 6 months or a year to get it published. It is not easy. Right? I always say to my research scholars, and here in Gujarat University to all research scholars in English. I always say that always look for a good journal. And what is the key to look for a good journal? If you ask that, okay, I'm submitting my research paper right now, today. If they say that tomorrow it will be published, it means there is something wrong. There should be in between a review process. Somebody publishes your research paper without looking into it, means there is something wrong. Of course, at present, UGC has already said that if you publish your research papers in paid journals, if they ask for money, then it is not good. Right? So in that sense, it has to be genuine one, and genuine ones will always take time for the review process. In between, they will send the research paper, your name will do, it is blind review, what is called. Right? Blind review means your name is not there. And the third person will give judgment or comment over your research paper. Is it qualitative? Is it worth publishing? Does it contribute something new to the field? Right? These are the questions that are usually addressed in review process. So that is very important. So overlapping publication is also, of course, not good. Salami publication, right, refers to the practice of slicing data. Suppose somebody has collected the data. You take up the slice of that data, and you manipulate it, and you publish several research papers. I've seen so many people publishing almost 10, 15 research papers from one thesis only. It means they are manipulating their data. It is more of salami publication. Right? If you just look at your, and good research papers should run into 12 to 15 pages. It can never be of 3 or 4 pages. Right? It should be exhaustive. It should be discussing the very important aspects of the particular field. So therefore, right, in a way, this kind of salami publication is also not good, where you take up the chunk of the data and you manipulate it. Now, this is a case study that a reader emails the editor regarding an article published in their journal. A reader reads a research paper, right, from a journal, and comes to know about a certain thing. So he writes to the editor of the journal. The reader claims that the data reported in the article are his and that the corresponding author did not have permission to publish the data. It means the data is not his, right? Means the person who has published it, but it is the data of this reader. He also claims that the other authors were not involved in the research. Right? He says that these people who have got this research paper published, they have used my data, and plus they were never involved in the research process. He attaches proof of correspondence with the corresponding author prior to the publication. And he provides the proof also to the editor that this is my original research work and not the research work of that person. So what could the editor do? Editor should do this thing. The editor examines the evidence and contacts the authors for an explanation. You cannot simply accept somebody's claim. So what should editor do? Should examine the evidence, means somebody has given, right, the proof. Reader has given the proof that this is my original research work. Then it is considered as an evidence, right? In law, it is evidence. then should contact the author also for further explanation. So what do you have to say? That he has to ask to the author. Whoever author, if there is single author, then write an email to that. If there are more, then you should write that. The corresponding author does not respond despite several emails. Right? Of course, the writer, if the author or the author who claims that this is my research work, but actually it is not so, would not, of course, respond to the email because he is at the fault. The other two, suppose authors respond. One asks that the article is retracted and say that the institution will be investigating. So one author says retracted means it has been cancelled. Nobody was ready to publish it. And even says that the institution will look into the matter and will come to the conclusion. The other asks, then an amicable solution is found. Other says that no, let us sit together peacefully, let us discuss this thing, and some solution can be found out. So what could the editor do now? After receiving the responses, looking at the evidence, editor decides to wait for the outcome of the institutional investigation, because the institution has said that no, we shall have investigation into the matter whether the faculty has really used some misconduct, done some misconduct, and used some, you can say, dishonest means for the research work. So he will have to wait for the investigation result. He contacts the institution asking to be contacted when the result of the investigation, right, is. So he asks to share the result of the investigation, and he should put a temporary editor's note that at present this research paper cannot be published because the data that is used in this research paper, the manuscript, has got some disputed data. It means article at present is retracted, means rejected. But in future, if there is clarification, then ultimately there will be some solution to it also. It may be rejected completely if it is found that the research work, the data that it contains is illegally taken from the readers, right, who has written the email. So this is a situation that how can you pass a comment or a judgment over, because it is very tricky. Somebody may claim that, I don't remember, yes, Lambert publication. If you ask so many teachers of college or university teachers, they may have their books published. As soon as I completed my PhD, it was just, the beginning of, you can say, internet era. At that time, immediately when I completed my PhD, I received a mail from this publication house. They claim that we are from Canada and we wish to publish your thesis. But then I Googled it, I realized, I asked some of the friends in academia, and they said that this is completely a fake company. Because they will ask you that, okay, you submit your thesis to us. Then they will give you a form where it is clearly mentioned that the copyright of the thesis would be of the publication. And what will happen after some time? It will happen that they will transfer the copyright to others. At present, they may give you, right? And they clearly mentioned in the email that we shall not provide you the copy, we shall provide you the digital copy. It means on screen you can view it. If you wish to get it printed, you can get it printed on your own. But after some, so it means the book actually will not be in the market. it will be circulated digitally, and after some time it will be published on others' name. This is right a malpractice, and one should always be very careful about it. Academic publication is very important because research work that you are going to initiate, right, for PhD is academic publication. It depends on trust. It heavily depends on trust. Because each and every word, suppose as a supervisor, when my research scholar submits me something, after reading, I cannot completely say that this is copied and this is not copied. Because I might not have read everything. I might not have read the books from the library, all the books from library. Now, that research scholar might have copied from a particular book, which I never read it by chance. And I think that, okay, the work is genuine. I approve it. So there comes the role of trust. And that's why, right, sometimes I think as research scholars, you would be wondering that why research supervisors are very strict, guides are sometimes, right, bossy. The simple reason is this, that they expect good behavior from you, responsible behavior from you, that you will not misuse the name of the supervisor or spoil the name of the supervisor, because that happens. If my research scholar does some, you can say, mediocre work, my credit is also at stake as a research supervisor, because my name would be written on his or her thesis. Right? So it depends entirely on trust. Editors trust. When we talk about the journal, right? Then of course, authors trust is very important. Editors should definitely trust the authors. Peer review process is very important, as I told. Academic publishing also occurs in an environment of powerful intellectual, financial, and sometimes political interests that may collide or compete. Suppose now universities thrive on, suppose if when university applies for NAAC accreditation, at that time research plays very vital role. When university applies for NIRF, National Ranking Framework, then research plays very vital role. So what kind of research? So academic publication, right, or publishing plays very vital role in creating the image or reputation of the institution or the university. And of course, individually also. And of those who are in sync with the work, means your supervisor also. His or her image is also created through your research work when it gets published. Right? So that's very important. I'm skipping some of the things. Transparency is very important. This is something, right, how peer review can be done, not only by the editors, but by even, you can say, the supervisor also. When the paper is submitted, then of course, what are the criteria? Then of course, on the base of that, whether it is accepted or rejected. And it is not only once, but there are several stages of reviewing. As I told you, one of the ways is blind review, where name is not written. Right? Because sometimes name, suppose somebody says that he is a professor with the department of this university, then there is an image. But it has happened that in IITs also, IIMs also, there has been, right, some cases of plagiarism. So it is not always so that at IITs and IIMs, they are always providing some qualitative research work. It may be misconduct also. So whether to accept or reject, it should be on the basis of the research work only, not on the basis of the name of the person who contributes to it. The question for editors: is misconduct a few bad apples or the tip of the iceberg? Right? Tip of the iceberg, you know it, right? Under it, there are a lot of things. So is it so that few only, there are few? Because today, suppose when you submit your research paper in a good reputed journal, they are getting thousands of research papers for publication. Now, does it mean that all are similar? Right? Or a few bad apples only? No, few are bad and others are good. So this is a very tricky situation for an editor. For this, right, this is a website from where you can take the right exclusive, you can say, right, look at the ethics for publication. This is very famous, popular, right, website. Seneca in right fourth, you can say, he said that it is wise to trust all and equally wise to trust none, because ultimately research work contributes to the trust, transparency of the entire environment of the institution. So you cannot say that, right, that ultimately you should distrust all people or you should trust few people only. In conclusion, I have to say that ultimately, right, academic misconduct is quite prevalent. One has to pay a heavy cost for it if it is detected. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about the detection of the plagiarism. Sometimes it happens that the benefit of misconduct that is increased because there are some factors. First of all, increasing publication pressure. Let's suppose there is a journal which is published after 2 months, every 2 months, biannual, what you or bi-monthly, what you can say, right? So it means that there are a lot of responses that the editor has received. So there is constant pressure to go through all, review all the papers. All reviewers are overburdened then. So the benefit is given, right, to the misconduct then, because it is not easy to catch hold of the misconduct. You cannot say that this has been copied and this has not been copied without using some tools. Co-authors who are happy to score additional publication, right? So in that sense, there are some co-authors, they want some more score, that okay, I need some publication on my name just to show on my biodata or CV, what you say. What are the remedies? How can we avoid misconduct? First of all, good mentoring. That's why this is the role of the supervisor. If the supervisor tells you, and that's why, right, these kind of workshops are very important, where you are told and conveyed that this kind of misconduct can bring, right, lot of risk. It is not only the risk, but it tarnishes, right? It spoils your image in academia. If you want to be a teacher, suppose, usually in society, teacher has a reputation, image, right? In academia, suppose if, and in newspaper that comes that so and so teacher, right, the faculty of this university or college was caught with the blame of this plagiarism, then of course, right, it is not good. It will tarnish, spoil your image entirely. And in academia, image is everything, reputation is everything. Then appropriately trained support staff, right? So in that sense, you should have good orientation about what is ethical, what is misconduct. Then blinded assessment of data. Don't look at the person who has contributed it, right? But look at the data. And blind assessment of data means that only you remove the name of the person who has contributed. Then go and assess the data. Data review, as I told about the review process, effective internal and external committees. This is very important. Internally, sometimes you may commit mistakes, but suppose you invite some people from outside agency, some institutions, they assess the quality of the work. Then you can say that, of course, right, it is qualitative or it is not qualitative. And strong departmental leadership, that is also very important. And of course, research scholars also can take the leadership in creating the environment where there is honesty, right, or in research work. These are some of the links which I used. Of course, I will share the PPT with you so that you can definitely have a look at it.